I am beating every N64 game, and I mean all of them. The twist is, the next game I play is randomly selected, so I have no clue what's coming next. This is the journey to beating every N64 game. Game number 90, Mahjong Master. Released in 1996, this game was developed and published by Konami. Well, it had to happen at some point. With there being 7 Mahjong games on the console, it was a decent likelihood that one would be chosen. The previous Mahjong title, Django Simulation Mahjong Do 64, took nearly 26 hours to beat. So, maybe this one won't be as bad as that. Plus, I kind of enjoyed learning how to play Mahjong before, so I think this one will be pretty fun, who am I kidding? Something's gonna go horribly wrong. These Mahjong games are cursed. Well, anyway, let's get into it. Also, quick shout out to Who Was Phone on GameFAQs for writing translation guides for many of these Japanese titles. They've been extremely helpful on this journey. When the game is first booted up, there's a cutscene showing many characters from the game and what Mahjong means to them. One says it's merely something to try one's luck. Yeah, sounds good. Another thinks more highly of it, saying it's his source of living. Ooh, tough life. Then there's the true diehards who say things like, it's the ultimate table game that reflects the universe, or it's the meaning of life. I think that last one has what it takes to be a Mahjong master, and hopefully, so do I. Anyway, the game actually has a story mode, so we'll be doing that to beat this game. The first thing I did was enter my name. 4 characters max per name. Man, it was like this game was made for me. Then we get a bit of lore. Well, as much lore as a Mahjong game might have. This guy's name is Ozaki, and he's the leader of the local Mahjong club. He welcomes us to the club and introduces us to all the other members. My translation app didn't translate their names very well, but their names are all listed in Who Was Phone's guide if you're curious. One of them looked a bit like Cartman from South Park. After being introduced, you have to pick your favorite club member. I don't think this affects gameplay at all. It's just like someone who talks to you after a match or something like that. I decided to go with Cartman, or Zankuro Matsumara as he's actually known. After all the introductions, it cuts to a menu. This is the main menu, and I saw it a lot during this playthrough. The only ones that actually help beat the game are Story and Save. Pressing Story reveals a sub-menu with the options League Game, which is just like a regular monthly match, Title Game, which is a monthly tournament with varying rules, Ranking, to see the rank of everyone in the club, Advance to next month, and go back to main menu. You can only enter the league matches or tournaments if the text for them is yellow. The league match was the only one I could do, so I went with it. It shows this announcer looking dude in a club and he's like, we're holding the C-League introductory match. It only occurs at the end of the year and it's how I gain access to the Mahjong League of this club. Essentially, I have to finish in the top 3 in this match. With Mahjong only being a 4-player game, that shouldn't be too hard, right? Speaking of Mahjong itself, I'm not going to get into how the rules work in depth. I went a bit into it in the previous Mahjong video for this N64 challenge, so I refer you to that if you're curious. The link is in the video description, although I'd recommend you watch a proper Mahjong tutorial if you do want to learn. The type of Mahjong played in this game is Riichi Mahjong, which is very popular in Japan, played by 4 players. So now it was time to play. I was against an old lady, some girl, and a guy with glasses with a sick widow's peak. The first round was going fantastic for me. I drew an 8-peen tile to give myself a triplet of those. A bit later, and the guy to my right discarded an 8-mon tile, which I gladly pawned. Later, the girl to my left discarded a 4-mon tile, which I gladly took via cheat. The hand was looking real nice. Next, I drew a 6-mon tile to put myself in tenpai, which essentially means I'm 1 tile away from winning. My yaku, or winning hand, was tanyo, or all simples as it's commonly known. Basically, the only tiles in my hand were suited tiles from 2 through 8. I needed either a 5-peen or 6-mon tile to complete my hand. And at the very end of the round, the old lady across from me discarded the 5-peen. I was so excited to declare Ron and win my first hand. But when I took the tile from her, nothing happened. I was very confused. Why is this not a Ron? Well, I definitely wasn't a Mahjong expert by any means. I did this same exact thing in the previous Mahjong game with lots of success. Needless to say, I was flabbergasted. Mr. Violet in my chat actually knew what happened, but I didn't know enough about the game to even know what the heck they were talking about. It turns out, Riichi Mahjong doesn't have a fully set in stone set of rules. Depending on where and who you play with, there may be a few variations. Many of them are obscure and rarely even relevant, but one is very common. Sometimes there will be a rule disallowing open Tanyo as a Yaku. Django Simulation Mahjong Do 64 didn't do this, but well, turns out this one does, and there was no way to change it. Opening your hand refers to when you take a tile from another player by either chi or pon. I think this rule is to just make less winning hands of this type happen, since Tanyo is a fairly easy to achieve Yaku. It took quite a long time to finally realize this was the case, and even longer to come to terms with it. This was by far my main strategy in Mahjong. It's essentially all I knew. I was a straight up one-trick pony. After a full East-South game against these three, I lost by a landslide. All I had to do was not get last, and well, that sure didn't happen. I tried again, and still, I got completely dominated. It wasn't like, I'm close or anything like that. I had zero chance of even getting close to third place. Finally, after playing for around 2 hours, I just barely squeaked by to third place. It was completely luck, and I only did it because the guy to my right lost a ton of points on the final turn. Either way, I was now in the club's C League. What is the C League, you might ask? Well, the Mahjong club we are in has 3 leagues, C, B, and A, increasing in player skill with each one. There's 5 people in a league, and you play matches with them once per month to determine everyone's ranking. At the end of the year, there will be a promotional tournament held. The top 2 players from the C League and the worst 2 players from the B League play, and the top 2 advance into the B League, and the bottom 2 go to the C League. The same happens with the B and A leagues, except it's the top 3 players from the B League and only the worst player in the A League. Only 1 player will be put into the A League from that tournament. At the end of the year for the A League, there will be a match held with the top 4 players in that league to determine the strongest Mahjong player. If you win that, you're truly the best in the club. As you might be able to predict, winning that tournament was my clear condition for this game, and I needed to play a lot of Mahjong to do it. With the struggle to simply not get last in the easiest match of the game, I knew I was way in over my head. I needed some help. There were a few people in my stream who knew how to play, but it was hard to convey what needed to be done. Plus, I didn't want someone to just hold my hand and beat the game for me. I wanted to learn. So I did the only thing I could think to do and asked on Twitter for help. I was desperate and I figured, this is pointless. But luck was on my side that day. A few people who follow me on there recommended a guy named Minimat. It seemed kind of crazy, but I was like, well, people coach others in chess with some real success, so I figured, you know what? Let's see what he has to offer. We spent around 4 or 5 hours playing Mahjong together on a client called Mahjong Soul. It has a feature that allows you to see everyone's hand, and this was great for him to give me tips. I can't stress how valuable this was in not only this game, but this N64 challenge in general, as I still have 5 more Mahjong titles to beat after this one. I'm trying to not make this part of the video drag on too long, but this really was a part of beating this game. It was essentially required. I learned a lot during this session, but there were a few big things I still remember to this day. When you're discarding a numbered tile, 1 and 9 are the safest to avoid someone roning you, or stealing your tile to finish their winning hand. This is because they can only form a run of 7, 8, 9, whereas something like 5 can be done with 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, or 5, 6, 7. The second tip was to never open my hand unless I really know what I'm doing. Opening your hand severely limits the list of Yakus you can achieve, and many times it can backfire. Sure, you can get some big payoffs if you do it correctly, but I was a Mahjong noob and not prepared for that kind of thing. The third thing I learned, which is by far the most important thing, is the concept of folding. I kept getting roned by the computer, and I thought the game was just completely rigged. I mean, it is rigged, but I thought it was especially rigged. When a player is 1 tile away from winning the hand, they're in tenpai. If another player discards the final tile they need to win, they can declare Ron and take it. This just kept happening to me over and over again. It turns out there's a way to prevent this from happening to you entirely. You see, Mahjong is a lot like poker in that it's luck-based, but there is also a skill element to greatly increase your chances of winning. folding is one of those tools that's invaluable to know as a player. You can't fold like in poker, and somebody's like, oh, you kind of can in Mahjong, so that's something I definitely need to practice is when I'm screwed, just get out of the hand, essentially.
That's definitely the right mindset to have. That is an incredibly good Mahjong mindset.
Let's say someone declared Ricci, thus informing you they're one tile away. It's kind of like yelling out Uno in that card game. If you are nowhere close to winning, it might be wise to fold, similar to how in poker you fold if someone makes a big bet when your hand sucks. But how do you do it? In Mahjong, the tiles you discard are publicly displayed to all the other players. This gives you a lot of info. If a player declares Ricci and they have, let's say, a 6 Mon tile in their discard pile, that means it's guaranteed to be safe to discard that 6 Mon. There's a rule in Mahjong called Furiten, where you cannot win a hand if the last tile you need is in your discard pile. Not only that, you can watch the tiles the other 2 players discard as well. Let's say a different player discards a 1 Peen tile after that other player declared Ricci. Well, if that's the final tile the one player needed, they would have taken it and won, right? So now you know that it's safe for you to discard a 1 Peen as well. Note, for the other 2 players, this only applies to tiles they've discarded after Ricci was declared, whereas the player who declared Ricci, it applies to their entire discard pile. Whew, hopefully that all makes sense, but yeah, folding was by far the biggest thing I learned. Minimat's a great dude, and he gives all kinds of tips about Mahjong on his Twitch streams, so go check him out if you're interested in learning more about Mahjong. Link in the description. Alright, anyway, with all that done, now it was time to go on to a new day of playing this game. With my training, it was like I just came out of the hyperbolic time chamber from Dragon Ball Z. I decided to start the game all over because why not? I figured I was better now. The training paid off immensely, as I now recognized I had quite a good hand going. A straight flush with the Peen suit. It gave me 16,000 points in my pocket. Aw yeah, baby. I had done well for myself. Sure, I wasn't winning every hand because it's just not possible, but I was getting Ron far, far less. By the match's end, I had a solid second place at the table, way better than before. So now that I was officially in the C League, I could play the monthly matches. Everyone starts with 0 league points, and you gain or lose points depending on how you do in these matches. I'm not gonna lie, there's just not really anything interesting to say about these matches, other than I played Mahjong. A lot. I guess I'll talk about the UI of the table a bit. I think I like this one aesthetics-wise better than the previous Mahjong game. The tiles are really clear, and you can see all the info you need on the board. Sometimes the other players will have some dialogue they share during a game. I imagine they're just talking trash or something like that. The music in this one is pretty good. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's nowhere close to good as Jungle Simulation, but it's still solid. I don't have the OST uploaded this time, unfortunately though. I dominated the first match, which put me in the top of the league. February didn't have a single league match. There was a tournament going on, but those don't affect your ranking at all, so I was able to just skip over it this month. Or at least that's what I thought. I reset the game, and this time when I skipped February, someone was far ahead of me in points. Honestly, it didn't make sense to me at all. It seems like there's some kind of randomness factor when you skip a month, whether the other players gain points or not. If there's a league match in that month, you always lose points, but it's only sometimes for the tournaments. This led to me saving and just grinding out resets until I got a favorable outcome in months where there were no league matches. So yeah, I just played all the league matches. It's just playing Mahjong. There's nothing really special about it. You honestly don't even need to get first in every match. I got last place once, and I was still leading the league at the end of the year. My score is always displayed at the bottom in these, by the way. So after getting through the entire league and finishing in the top 2 players, I was into the B-League promotion match. I just had to get first or second place, and I was moving on. It's, you know, more of the same. We're playing Mahjong. Except now the guy across from me and the lady to my right are players from the B-League. Mahjong has this thing called a table wind. Essentially, it's relevant to the 4 wind tiles and a yaku called yakuhai. The way most people play is called an east-south game. This means the table wind is set to east for all 4 players as dealer, then it switches to south for all 4 players as dealer, and then the game ends. I reached the end of the east-south game in second place, and I figured I'd made it. To my surprise, the match continued. Apparently, this promotion match is 2 consecutive East-South matches where the score from the previous carries over to the next. Thankfully, I did well enough in the second match, and I was in second place when all was said and done. It felt pretty good to have made it up to the next league. Well, time to do that exact same thing all over again. In the B League, we get some new people to play with. Notably, there's this dude who he looks like he's either constantly got a horrible headache, or he's just focusing harder than anyone ever has. Not sure what his deal is. Then there's this guy who's just so aggressive at the table. When he runs someone, he's so rude about it. I had never played before this, no. Get wronged. But yeah, I played more Mahjong and made my way through the league standings. I played for way too many hours, over and over and over again. I won most of the matches along the way, and by the end of the year, I was at the top of the B League. Now it was time for the A League promotion match. This time it's the top 3 players in the B League versus the lowest player in the A League. You have to get first place to advance to the A League in this one. The guy from the A League was, interesting. Like, look at him, he's just bobbing from side to side over and over. He does this all game long and never stops. Where does he find that kind of energy? So the promotion match is the same deal. 2 consecutive East-South games. I figured since I beat the last one so quickly, this would be similar. Well, that could not have been more wrong. It was just so unbelievably rigged, dude. Like, sure, Mahjong is luck-based in a similar fashion to poker, so you can't expect to win all the time, even if you make the best decisions. However, the other players had something fishy going on. You'd think they'd all be winning a bit. Maybe one of them would get a bit luckier than the others, but still, they would all win sometimes. But what actually happened is there would be one player in the match who would just win like crazy. If I didn't take the hand, then it was definitely that one single other player, never the other 2. This caused them to just funnel points from the 2 AI players from Rones to that one guy, and I had no chance to come in first. I only got a little bit salty. Ugh, what a thunderstorm that only affects the voltage of my N64 and none of the other electronics to run this stream. And it's localized entirely over my stream room. Peter. Oh my god. It's impossible, man. Oh my god, dude. Stop. She's already dead. Now she's the cheater. Oh my god. No. They're joking. God, this game, man. Oh my god, it's over. God, I swear this game is rigged. Oh my god. It's not lucky, it's the game cheating. Oh my god, man. You just... Why aren't they winning? Oh my god. No! 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 God, man. This is so stupid. I told you all. Finally though, after like 7 hours of grinding it out, I made it out of the promotion tourney alive. She tried really hard. She tried so hard. Oh my god, dude. Thank God. Now we better be in the A League. The game tried to give them a last second comeback, but I had a couple thousand more points. Oh my god, it felt like such a relief to be done with that. My euphoria was short-lived though, as I quickly came to the realization that there was the strongest player tournament at the end of this next year. And if this tournament was this annoying, I couldn't even fathom what awaited me in that tournament. Well, you know what's next. We're in the A League, and I've got to just not get last place to make it to the final tournament. At least there's some new people to play with. We've got Jeff Bezos over there on the left, and I think that might be Randy from South Park on the right. Fortunately for me, since I only needed to not get last, I only played 5 of the league matches to have enough points to qualify. And with that, it was time. The final challenge for this nightmare of a game. For whatever reason, when you select the tournament, it pops up saying, "God bless you." Which, I don't know, that's just extremely random. There's also a new background, and we're in a new room or something like that. The table's like an olive green color, and the backs of the tiles are black. They're really pulling out all the stops for this big finale. This time, things were a bit different though. This tournament was 4 consecutive East-South matches, which makes the variance for the AI screwing you over very high. Even if you're doing well, there's so many opportunities to have it all turn upside down. I got a bit salty during all this, you know? Wow, dude. They do that so often, man. Oh, it drives me nuts. It makes me so mad. No! It's still not over! When does it end? How long is this? What? What are you doing up there, buddy? Why not run them? He laid a 3. I bet he was in Tenpai the whole time. He was like, I'm gonna wait till he gets it. Because he knew that tile was coming. It's not all luck-based in real life, but in this game it sure is. What the heck is this stupid game, man? Oh my god, it's gonna drive me to do something. This is ridiculous. Like, it's just no matter what, you cannot win. Just when I thought all hopes were lost, something weird started happening. It started out with me getting a pretty sizable win early on. Wow, this is a good hand. Hey, I got points. I didn't know it yet, but this was the start of one of the biggest winning streaks I would ever have. I think I won 9 straight hands as the dealer, which is unheard of. When you are the dealer, you get bonus points, and you stay as dealer until you lose. My lead was insane at the end of this first East-South match. But then something incredibly rare happened even further in. It's possible for 2 players to be in Tenpai and waiting on the same tile to finish their hand off. If that tile is discarded, both players declare Ron. In this case, there's a rule called Atamahane, or headbutt, to determine what happens. Basically, whoever is closest to the player that discarded the tile wins. I figured... Get headbutted! Headbutted! I'm the dealer! Get headbutted! Oh my god. Thankfully, it was me in this case, and I also had a full flush with so many Dora tiles, worth 24,000 points. This was the biggest win I'd ever seen in any of these games. I had such an insane lead that it felt impossible to lose. Luckily for all of us, this is not some setup to me having the worst luck imaginable and having to start over. I won the tournament and the title of strongest player was mine. Thank goodness. After finishing the tourney, all the other players in the club congratulated me on winning and they held a big party to celebrate. You know what? Thanks y'all, but I'm out of here. Never playing Mahjong again. Well, at least until one of the other 5 N64 Mahjong titles are chosen. One final note on this game, it was discovered after finishing it that there is a way to achieve the credits sequence in it. I've long lost who shared it with me, but someone in my Discord found a Japanese forum stating that you have to win the tournament in all 12 months to reach the credits, along with winning the title of strongest player. You can see that in Who Was Phone's guide on GameFAQs it says that's how you win, but while I was playing this game that wasn't the case. The guide was edited after that. Since I had no idea this existed during this playthrough, and I honestly feel I've done more than enough to feel like I beat this game, I'm calling this one done. Game complete. So yeah, there you have it. My journey to beating Mahjong Master. Oh man, this one was infinitely more frustrating than the last Mahjong title. Like, holy crap, I haven't raged at a game like that in quite a while. It felt so rigged, so unfair. The AI would always gang up on you. Never roll on each other, only you. I don't know, maybe it wasn't rigged, but it definitely felt like it. Man, this game along with the last one, Super Robot Wars, took up 14.3% of the total playtime of the N64 challenge up to this point. I think this was one of the worst possible games to draw immediately after that one, but well, I did it. I stuck with it and I got through it. All in all though, it's a decent Mahjong game. The music's pretty solid, the UI is good, and it runs smoothly. I think my saltiness affects this rating a lot though. I gave it a 1.5 out of 10 for enjoyability and a 10 out of 10 for difficulty. This game had earned it, the first 10 out of 10 difficulty of the challenge. Good riddance. Hey, thanks for watching the video. Have a sneak peek at the next game. We have 300 left on the list, with 3 games intentionally left off. Please, I don't even care if it's a good game. Give me something short. I want a short game. I'll take a good game, but just give me something short. 3, 2, 1, go. 125? What is that? People on YouTube got upset that I hadn't been saying what is that lately, so... What is this? This is a Japanese game. We are playing Jinsei Game 64. So it has been decided. But yeah, if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. If you enjoyed the video, consider giving it a like. It helps the channel a lot. And if you like this series, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on the next one.